Buckle up, folks. This podcast is all about diving into the good, the bad, and the ugly of our bodily, spiritual, and mental experiences. If you are not prepared to challenge your assumptions, laugh at yourself, laugh at me, or maybe even shed a tear or two, then you might want to look elsewhere. But if you're ready to get real, get honest, and get a little weird, then welcome to the Just Chrissy podcast. I'm your host, Chrissy McCammon. Welcome back to episode number 2 of Just Chrissy. My name is Chrissy McCammon. I am your host. Today I thought I would come in and talk about what an integrative health practitioner is and does. We will be doing a cleanse coming up here in January, and so there's some things that you should take notes on. We'll go more in depth in January on each thing or item that I'm about to discuss with you. But I thought I would give you a little something to think about. So there are like 7 branches of natural healing. There's what they call the Ayurvedic medicine. That's like the science of life. There's bioregulatory medicine. That's the science of self-healing. You have traditional Chinese medicine and herbalism, and that's using the power of herbs and energy practice to enhance overall wellness. There's Eastern philosophy, which is using the mind to heal the body. And then there's your traditional naturopathy using right living to rebalance the body. There's orthomolecular medicine, the right molecules in the right amounts. And then there's functional medicine, helping people heal helping people at a functional, not disease level. So as an integrative health practitioner, my goal is to help you be proactive, not reactive. Proactive as in, we're going to balance the body, give it what it needs so it can function properly. What happens, there's your 2 things that are very prominent in all of my clients. 1, they are nutritionally deficient. And 2, they are overflowing with toxicity. Let's picture you have a rain barrel, and every time it rains, water goes into that barrel, but also a little dirt from the atmosphere. And every time it rains, there's just a little bit more dirt that goes into that rain barrel. And it continues to build up and build up and build up over a long period of time until eventually the rain barrel is overflowing and it's just full of soot and dirt. That's what happens to our bodies over time. We eat processed foods, we don't take care of ourselves, we don't drink clean water, etc., etc., etc. And then our body starts to overflow, and our symptoms, like our body is starting to get sick a long time before we see symptoms. So as an integrative health practitioner, what we try to do is get that balance in the body, get the toxins out, get the nutrient gaps filled. There's also, let's talk about the ways that we do that. 1 would be through your diet. Now, let me tell you, I hate the word diet because there have been so many fad diets, calorie restriction, all of these things that just don't work. So when you think about the word diet, I don't want you to think about the scale, getting on the scale, what that number is, but I want you to think about if you're giving your body life or death. Now, as we go through each of these, it's going to be a really short version because in January, I will go into these in more depth. But when you think of diet, is what you're eating alive or is it dead? If it's processed, it's dead food. It's not doing anything for your body. We don't want to focus on the scale because that scale can become an idol. We don't want it to become an idol. The other thing we'll focus on is exercise. Some people think, oh, okay, well, I haven't exercised in, 10 years, but I'm going to go do the PX90 and get in shape really quick. That is it isn't the best choice. We will start out walking. Yes, just simply going for a walk. And we will look at the beginning of January, how many steps a day are we doing? Now, if you don't have a pedometer, you could use your phone. I have a smartwatch that has a pedometer on it. I actually find it to be very accurate. I have seen others that are not accurate. So if yours are very, very cheap watch, some people use the Oura rings. There are different modalities that you can use to track your steps. But we do want to track our steps, and the average person probably gets around 3,000 steps. We want to get to the point where we're at 10,000 steps a day. You're not going to do this every day perfectly. However, it's being mindful of what you are doing and what you are not doing. You can break those steps up into 3 30-minute walks. What would be even more impactful is just going for a 10-minute walk after every meal. But our goal is to work up to 10,000 steps. So maybe you're doing 3,000, which is the average, 4,000. You can maybe add 1,000 steps a week and build up and get to your 10,000. I used to think 10,000 wasn't that much until I started doing it. And I was like, wow. And then we work from there. So that's the second thing that we look at. One is the diet. The other is the exercise. This is the other thing too. People, when they think about their health, they think it's like all about the food. It's not. There are a lot of things that you have to take into consideration. The next one is huge, and it is stress. And that stress can be a lot of things. It can be your diet. It can be your relationships. It can be your job. It can be money. It can be a lot of things. We're going to be looking at reducing stress. Stress is a huge killer of the body. And actually, usually when people get to the point where they're really not feeling well, or they've gone into a very traumatic response within their body, there is usually something stressful that happened. Like they already weren't doing well, but then the stressful event, a death in the family, a divorce, something very impactful happens, and it kind of pushes their body over the edge. And they have to then start addressing all this damage that's been done. So we address diet, exercise, stress, and then I already mentioned the toxins. I'll teach more about that. Like what do you have in your home? What are you washing your laundry with? What are you putting on your skin? What are you shampooing your hair? What are you brushing your teeth with? Are you using air fresheners? Are you spraying perfume and hairspray? Are you walking around in your yard when it's been sprayed with chemicals? Are you eating food that's been sprayed with chemicals? There is a lot to consider, but you can start working at those now. Like start evaluating and saying, am I doing any of these things? And if you want to get started right now, just go to a clean laundry detergent. I actually, on Rooted in Wellness, my Facebook page, posted the laundry detergent recipe that I make. But if you're someone that's like, I don't want to make it, like I don't want to mess with it, I'd rather just pay for it. Young Living has a fantastic laundry soap called Thieves. It's really good. It's clean. I like it. If I were purchasing, that's what I would purchase. But I do make my own. I like to DIY things if I can. So we're going to look at diet, exercise, stress, toxins. The next one is rest. We're going to talk about rest. It is amazing what happens in the body and the brain while we're resting. However, a lot of people stay up to all hours of the night and they are not getting enough sleep. And there are some very important things happening in your body when you go to sleep and in your brain, as a matter of fact. You need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And your circadian rhythm, which we'll go into this in more detail, actually lines up with the rising of the sun and the setting of the sun. So probably you should be getting to bed around 9:30 to 10:30. That's usually when I start yawning. My body lets me know that it's tired, and I go to bed when I start yawning. If I stay up, then my cortisol goes back up, my melatonin goes back down, and I don't sleep well. So there are a lot of things with rest that we're going to learn during our 30 days in January. The next item that we're going to address is toxic emotions. Today, I think more than ever, people are just so not only stressed, it's just how they see themselves. It's the craziness of the world that they're living in. It's the relationships we have, the lack of relationship, maybe I should say, like with social media and our electronics. It's amazing. People don't even know how to communicate. And I will tell you, coming from the background I come from, no one taught me how to communicate. So I did have to learn that skill. But dealing with our emotions, fixing our relationships, having healthy emotions is super important to your body. If your body really does keep the score in trauma, these emotions, how we think, you can retrain your brain. So that's something we're going to talk about, I guess. And then the last one is your mindset, which is part, I guess, of the emotions, like the success, being successful when we gain success. Like when I know a lot of times I have clients who come in who are just really have worked really hard and not seeing the success they want and not understanding why they're not seeing success. And so their mindset coming in is in an awful place. So we will talk through all of that in January, like I said, and realign or reset how we see things, what we're doing in our life, along with doing the 7-day, 14-day, 21-day functional medicine detox. So I look forward to spending time with you in January, teaching you about these things in more in depth. And I just really, really want to see you give yourself a high five. And I saw an interview with Mel Robbins this morning, and one of the things she was talking about was, she had gone through a really rough time where she really just couldn't even get out of bed. She was drinking a lot. She was like yelling at her husband, not getting her kids to school. And she started doing where she would wake up in the morning. And I read this book. It's the 5-second rule. So you could get this book and read it meanwhile. But in this book, she talks about, and this morning in this interview, she talked about how she decided she was just going to count back from 5 to 1, and then whatever it was, she was going to do it. Because in your brain, if you have already trained yourself a certain way, all it takes is for 5 seconds for your brain to take over and talk you out of doing something different or new. So what she recommends is you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you just go do it. Like, don't give your brain more than 5 seconds, or you'll not do whatever that thing is that you should do, because we know what we should do. It's just a matter of us doing it. So right now I'm going to say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm high-fiving you because I know that you can do this.